we recognize as Christians our need for conversion, our need for making reparation for our own sins and other people's, for the world's sins, that we participate with Christ in his redemptive work by doing penance. And that the church gives us particular times and seasons for doing that. So every Friday is sort of a little mini Lent, and then every Lent is sort of a large Friday. No, that's not what I meant to say. No, the Lenten season is a particular time for us to really dig into this life of penance that we're called to. But the thing I wanted to zero in on a little bit today, it mentioned those three primary forms that this takes: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. That's what we think about when Lent comes around. Usually as Catholics, we're encouraged to, pick up an additional bit of prayer and fasting or ascetical practice during Lent, and as well as almsgiving, some work of charity we can do. But I wanted to particularly focus on that. Again, Jesus calls us to this self-denial. It mentioned voluntary self-denial. And I wanted to reflect on that voluntary self-denial today. So again, just real quickly, that bit from Matthew, this is a reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. Then Jesus told his disciples, "If any man would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his life?" I mean, that verse that we've all heard many times before, so powerful. What I wanted to zero in on today is that in the Christian life, self-denial, this concept of self-denial, is not optional. It's something we're called to. If we would follow after Jesus, we have to deny ourselves. Now, what does that mean? That's what I wanted to reflect on a bit today, the self-denial. And I think of it in terms of our Lenten practices, because one thing I think I've learned by experience a little bit, I've been exploring in my own spiritual life, is just how the self-denial we're called to and the Lenten practices we're called to, we can get focused on the plan, we can get focused on the things themselves, but the real purpose of all those things is for us to trust in Jesus and to give over our will and to seek to do God's will. I mean, this brings us back to, again, your question at the beginning. The two types of people when it comes to Lent, right? There are people who love Lent because, yes, I get to do a plan and it's going to be exciting, it's going to be intense, and it's going to be a challenge. Great. You have the people who hate it. But in some sense, both of those people, by temperament or whatever they are, they both struggle with the same core issue when it comes to Lent, which is that they're struggling with their will versus God's will. When I'm so often I found in my life that I do tend to be a person who wants to jump into a program, a plan, and the intensity of it, but it's because it's something I want to do. I'm excited about it. And I was reflecting lately on how I think I have an affinity for plans and programs because they give me more of a sense of control. I can control myself and my circumstances by getting into a new program or plan of life or rule of life. And those have their place and they're necessary. But the whole point here is that they're a means to what? They're a means to lead us to that place where we begin to let go of not what I want, not my will be done, but thy will be done.